Paul Walker left a serious impact on pretty much everyone involved in the Fast and Furious franchise. From baby-name tributes to heartfelt PSAs, his co-stars and loved ones have worked hard to honor his memory. Speaking with Entertainment Tonight, Vin Diesel said that losing Paul Walker, who he nicknamed Pablo, was like losing his own flesh and blood. The two didn't just grow their friendship into a brotherhood in the movies, they forged a real one that survived beyond Walker's passing. In the ET interview, Diesel made it very clear Walker was more than just a co-star.
What's it like living without your brother? You know what I mean? It's not about making a movie.
Diesel has revealed that he felt he played the role of a big brother on set for much of the core cast, especially in those early films, but claims that it was Walker who taught him how to be a father. Walker's daughter Meadow was born in 1998, 10 years before Diesel welcomed his first child into the world. The actor told Access Hollywood that for this reason, he relied on Walker for guidance and support on his own journey through fatherhood. Diesel went on to explain how he felt Walker was even there in spirit when his youngest daughter was born in 2015. To honor his old friend, Diesel named her Pauline. The feeling of brotherhood was clearly mutual, as Meadow Walker had Vin Diesel escort her down the aisle in her father's place. A source even confirmed to Us Weekly that Meadow sees Diesel and his children as family and turns to them for support during difficult periods. It's unsurprising then that she chose to have Diesel at her side for such a momentous occasion. It took well over a year after Paul Walker's death for Michelle Rodriguez to speak openly about the loss of her friend. Rodriguez, who plays Letty Ortiz in the Fast and Furious franchise, described Walker as the deepest guy she knew in an interview with Entertainment Weekly. She revealed that his death was such a horrific jolt that she completely fell apart, saying, "I felt like nothing I could do could make me feel alive. So I just kept pushing myself harder and harder. I was traveling and I was having sex, and I was just trying to ignore everything that I was feeling." 6 years later, Rodriguez sat down to talk with Tamron Hall and seemed to be much more at peace, both mentally and spiritually. The actor had been suffering from anger issues and substance abuse on top of her grief, so she took some time to herself to reach a more stable state of being. These days, Rodriguez works hard to maintain an open mind about her existence and beliefs.
I feel that living it and traveling and really being curious and trying to keep your heart open, I think is the best way to really learn.
She elaborated that Walker's death was a, quote, reality check, and that losing such a close friend made her question the driving forces behind her professional endeavors. Rodriguez also reflected that, prior to Walker's death, she found herself living more sporadically and exhibiting somewhat dangerous behaviors. However, she eventually set out to find more sustainable outlets to deal with her feelings, and she's a much happier and more intentional person for it. In the Fast and Furious films, Jordana Brewster plays the part of Mia Toretto, sister to Vin Diesel's Dom and love interest to Paul Walker's Brian. Throughout the movies, Mia's relationship with Brian evolves and grows until eventually they start a family together. Working so closely, Brewster and Walker shared a special bond, and in a conversation with Us Weekly, Brewster shared that this bond has not waned. She explained that she still thinks about her former co-star constantly and tries to highlight what an exceptional person she found him to be. Brewster went on to share her favorite memory of working with Walker on the Fast and Furious franchise, recounting a time that she ended up needing stitches. Recalling a famous scene in Fast 5 in which she and Walker had to jump across roofs in Puerto Rico, she explained, "I split my hand open jumping from roof to roof in Puerto Rico. I was like, I can keep going because I wanted to have bravado in front of Paul. He was like, yeah, you're being tough. I'm so proud of you. When we wrapped, I went to get stitches. I consider that my badge of honor." Brewster has kept honoring her relationship with Walker throughout the years, becoming close with his daughter Meadow. She told Us Weekly that Meadow shares a lot of similarities with her father, and the pair have gotten so close they even attended each other's weddings. Brewster said that she takes a lot of pride in seeing the woman her late friend's daughter has become. The Fast and the Furious did exceptionally well at the box office when it came out in 2001, but it still faced several obstacles on its way to becoming a blockbuster franchise. One major complication was that Vin Diesel wasn't interested in returning for a sequel, so Too Fast, Too Furious went ahead without him. Despite Diesel's absence, Paul Walker's character Brian returned to the franchise, getting into shenanigans down in Miami with his childhood friend Roman Pierce, played by Tyrese Gibson. Unfortunately for the actor, when Diesel later returned, Gibson's role fell by the wayside. He was excluded from the following two Fast and Furious movies. Speaking to the Toronto Sun, Gibson revealed that it was Walker who fought for his character to be brought back into the fold. He explained, "When I wasn't in number 3 or 4, every other day Paul was saying, 'We've got to bring Tyrese back. We've got to bring Roman back.' There were certain people who were against it, and Paul campaigned to bring me back. Paul Walker single-handedly got me back in the franchise for sure. In other words, it seems that both Gibson and fans have Walker to thank for Roman's return in the franchise in Fast 5. Much like Diesel, Gibson saw Walker as a brother. Speaking with Entertainment Weekly, he explained that he still has a hard time watching Furious 7, Walker's final film, due to the immense pain he feels from the loss. He explained, "I have more bad memories than good, because all of the fun and all of the magic that we had going before Paul Walker's untimely death, the trauma of losing him superseded all of that." Chris Ludacris Bridges is famous for his fast, playful raps. However, he has also built up a respectable career as an actor, with the Fast and Furious film series being his most well-known cinematic effort. Bridges first appeared in Too Fast, Too Furious as Tez, a Street Fighter turned tech guru, and continued in that capacity from the 5th film onward. Tez's relationship with Brian O'Connor was full of respect, and the same was true away from the cameras. Like so many other members of the cast, Ludacris considered Walker family, and he felt his loss profoundly. Speaking with Vibe ahead of the release of Fast 10, the actor and musician revealed that while continuing the series without Walker has been painful, the challenge has brought the rest of the cast even closer. He also explained that with Walker gone, many of the remaining Fast and Furious stars took it upon themselves to continue spreading the word about Walker's philanthropic work to honor all the good work he did in life. Bridges went on to specifically credit Meadow as playing a huge part in the continuation of Walker's legacy, explaining to the outlet, "He lives on through her, and she's on set with us a lot and off set as well." Something you might not know about Sung Kang's Han Lu is that the character first appeared in Justin Lin's 2002 film Better Luck Tomorrow, a movie about a group of Asian American high school seniors who dipped their toes into the world of crime. Lin brought the character into the Fast and Furious franchise for 2006's Tokyo Drift. While Han appeared to die in that film, that decision was later retconned, and Kang got the chance to work with Paul Walker in subsequent movies. Unsurprisingly, the two formed a tight bond while collaborating. Speaking with the Los Angeles Daily News, Kang explained that he often found it difficult to get close with co-stars, saying that the more movies he filmed, the harder he found it to form deep connections in such a fast-moving industry. He said that he found Paul Walker to be the exception to this, and explained that whether they were working together or just hanging out, he felt Walker was always present and earnestly attentive with his time. In 2022, Kang directed a PSA that warned of the dangers of driving irresponsibly. There was a spike in street racing during the COVID-19 pandemic, and like all of the Fast family, Kang knows that car accidents can devastate lives. The actor also did the voiceover for the PSA, which urged those planning on taking to the streets to race to go to designated tracks instead.
Sometimes we just want to get in our cars and drive.
Speaking about his work on the PSA, Kang told People, "I wish our special effects could bring back our loved ones, but unfortunately that won't be the case. We are honored to be able to be part of such an important message. Stop racing on the streets and go to the track." Playing the role of computer genius Ramsey, Nathalie Emmanuel joined the Fast and Furious franchise for 2015's Furious 7. It would be Paul Walker's final film of the series, and while Emmanuel didn't spend as much time with him as her co-stars, she still feels his loss to this day. In an interview with Entertainment Weekly, Emmanuel described how, after Walker's tragic passing, the cast set out to make the films as great as possible. Furthermore, she believes that the cast's urge for greatness has continued in the series' later installments, and that Walker's legacy only grows with the franchise.
Paul was such a huge part of it, and, he lives still within it.
She cemented this claim in a 2019 Instagram post. In advance of the release of F9, Emmanuel wrote how Furious 7 was her personal favorite movie in the series, and noted how privileged she felt to have gotten to work on Walker's final film. In turn, Furious 7 director James Wan also chimed in, saying that the moments that he shared with Emmanuel and Walker were some of his favorite memories from making the film. Much has been written about the feud between Dwayne Johnson and Vin Diesel, but the former wrestler's relationship with Paul Walker has been less documented. According to Johnson, the two actually bonded over their daughters, who are around the same age. Johnson doesn't speak publicly about Walker's death very often, but he felt compelled to say something after another one of his friends came close to suffering the same fate. In 2019, Kevin Hart, who has starred opposite Johnson in a number of projects and even made a cameo in Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs & Shaw, was involved in a serious car accident that left him needing back surgery. In response, Johnson published an Instagram post on what would have been Walker's 46th birthday. He wrote, "Recently, I got a scare when I almost lost another friend on the road. All this stuff got me thinking about how beautiful yet wildly unpredictable life is. We never know what's around the corner. So we gotta live as greatly as we can in the honor of our loved ones and ancestors who are no longer with us. He ended the caption with a salutation to Walker and continued to pay homage to his former co-star throughout the remaining Fast and Furious films in which he appeared. By the time he died, Paul Walker had already filmed a majority of his scenes for Furious 7. For the remaining shots, his brothers Caleb and Cody were brought in to pose as his doubles. Their scenes were then edited and posed with CGI to make the change seamless. After Furious 7, Cody, who is the CEO of Paul Walker's foundation, Reach Out Worldwide, began acting in his own right, and he has since appeared in a handful of projects, including Sun Kang's anti-street racing PSA.
Guys, let's be responsible. There's someone waiting for you at home.
In a statement published with the PSA, Cody wrote about how familiar he is with the pain of losing someone in a car accident, but he urged viewers to consider the impact their decisions on the road have on not just themselves, but their loved ones as well. Echoing Kang's sentiment in the PSA, he went on to encourage those with a need for speed to keep their racing on designated tracks and out of the road. The legacy of Paul Walker, both on-screen and off, is forever interwoven with the family that he forged in the Fast and Furious franchise. In the 2018 documentary I Am Paul Walker, the late actor's family and friends speak with love about his fearlessness, his charm, and how much he is still missed. That's a legacy worth leaving.